Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing, joined by regulars Andy and Darren. Good evening, gents.
Evening.
How are we doing?
So obviously quite a lot to get through this week, quite an exciting weekend, last weekend in Sheffield, although not the result that Daz would have wanted. We must try and remain impartial, so let's both keep our mouth shut and let Darren do the talking in light of recent events. So, Andy, I'll hand it over to you. Let's start with the GBM card, then we'll move on to Leigh Wood later.
Mate, what a fantastic card again. I'm never let down by the production on GBM. It's fantastic. The way they go about stuff, mate. That new arena as well, I thought was great. It's kind of purpose built. And having a chat with some of the guys, some of the GBM IROC at the end of the show, it seems like the likelihood is they'll have some more events there. It's great position for them, isn't it?
It is. Yep, I'd say that they're floating at the minute in between small hall and big shows. There's some kind of middle ground there at the minute. But from what we're hearing about what backers they've got, I'll use the word allegedly. It's only a matter of time before they get a main broadcasting deal. I mean, Talk Sport were there Friday night. Some big names around the arena, wasn't there?
It was indeed.
So
let me just cut you off in mid flow, mate. This one's for you, Danny Bravo. Enjoy, mate. Cheers.
Anyway, that fell flat, didn't it? So, like I said, some big names around the side of the arena. Obviously, some serious funding going into GBM, but the production, it feels like a big show. Obviously, Darren, you was on the inside of it. You can probably talk a bit more about the support the fighters get. But from a production perspective and a social media perspective, it really is. It really does feel like a top class operation.
Yeah, the TV is it the TV promoters, mate? We are a TV deal. Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant, to be honest. Very good. Look after the fighters. Nothing's too much trouble. Yeah, love working with him. To be fair,
they seem to take it to another level on Friday. I know. Very well planned. I think it was very, very well planned by Izzy. He's got this big, massive show on in Sheffield on the Saturday night, and he goes on the Friday night prior to that, probably knowing that lots of people that would be attending that show are likely to come to his show, because what else are you going to do on the Friday night?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Very smart. Very, very clever. And if that was his tactic, it worked, because there were lots of faces there. Lots of people that may not have attended that show otherwise. But what they've done is they've gone now, and I tell you now, they won't be disappointed with what they saw in production wise. Great show, really good card again. Obviously, we'll talk about the headliner. We'll go straight into that, Carl. Brilliant fight, I thought, and what a performance from Emma Dolan. Outstanding. You know.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it real here, Daz, because I always do. I was a little bit disappointed with Nicola's performance, if I'm being brutally honest.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, so I'm not here to throw stones or anything, but you know, Dad, I've known you long enough now to give you my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? And I just thought I've never seen Emma Dolan perform like that. When she won the belt, she didn't perform at that level. So props to Emma Dolan. But that's not to say Nicola can't come again. I'm sure you've already spoken about tactics and what you do next time. But I've got to say, Emma deserved the victory on the night, didn't she?
Yeah, 1,000,000%, mate. 1,000,000%. Right girl won. Right girl won. No doubt. We're never that wide, though. You know, I don't really want to harp on about judges, because even though it weren't that wide, they got the winner right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't really want to harp on about, we're never that wide, and listen, they got the right winner. I'm not one, mate, for. I've analysed it enough, as much as I need to. I've spoken to Nick.
You have.
I've spoke to Nick about it. And I don't. Whatever I say, no matter who listens to it, they're gonna either take it as, yeah, he's got a point, or it's sour grapes. No, it's not sour grapes, because Emma Dolan deserved to win the fight.
Yeah.
Simple as. It just weren't. Listen, I think it's fair to say, and a lot of people have said it to me without me saying it, I think it's fair to say that, Nick wasn't herself that night. She underperformed to what she's capable of. However, couple that with Emma Dolan boxing really well, it's a recipe for a defeat.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I don't really want to harp on about it, because it's done now. I wish Emma Dolan well in future. Listen, who knows? They might come across each other again. You never know. But I think it's Nick's got to move down to flyweight. It just, I've been saying this for a long time, and might be a bit controversial. And it might be a bit of a rant, but it's about time people started listening to me, because I know what the fuck I'm on about. Do you know what I mean? It sort of gets me goat a little bit, to be fair, when, people sort of don't listen to what I'm saying,
I mean, I know this isn't you just saying it because of the result, Daz, because we've had many conversations.
Mate, I've been saying it before it was even announced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's not, but I don't want to seem like it's sour grapes, because it's not. Listen, I've got a lot of respect for Carl. Adam, I've got a lot of respect for Adam as well. In fact, Adam came in to check the hand wraps, and we was having a really good laugh. Do you know what I mean? Having a lot of banter.
They're a good bunch, guys. When all said and done, they're a good bunch, aren't they?
Listen, full of respect for Emma as well. As I've always said, we had a bit of a chat afterwards, and all good. I wish them well. Listen, from my point of view, Winnick, if I'm going to give a bit of a breakdown of it for a few seconds, and that's the last I'm going to say on it, because the right girl won. I wish her well in what she does. Now it's about me rebuilding my. Well, I don't think it's even rebuilding her. She doesn't need to rebuild. She just need to tweak a few things. Basically, in that fight, our plan was to get in close to Emma, but it was also about how you got in close, not just steam into her. Because listen, like I said, I got a lot of respect for Emma. Too good to just try and walk down.
Yeah.
Right. But my point was, make her fall short, which Nick did on occasions, then work, then step round the side of her, because I know that when Emma gets hit, she's got heart of a lion, and she'll fire back. So if you're stood in front of her, you're going to get hit back. So my point was, Nick, to make her fall short, work, and then step round her. So you avoid the reply, and then you go to work again. Whereas what Nick did was, on occasions, made her fall short, didn't punish that. Then on other occasions, made her fall short and landed shots, but then stayed in front of her. So then when Emma's replied, Nick's then subconsciously thought, oh shit, I'm not meant to be doing that. So I've got to go again to negate that. But then Emma's took a step out of range, so Nick's falling short. Do you know what I mean?
I know you're not a manager and you're not a promoter, but if you had a magic wand, when would you want her out next? Are you looking at giving her a rest, or do you get her out as soon as possible?
She's going to fight before Christmas.
Yeah.
And Nick's better when she's active. But like I said, I've discussed this with Andy as well. Emma's ring savvy up close was very good as well. She didn't allow Nick to, to do have everything her own way up close. So, listen, Nick did things in spots, mate, that were very good in what we'd worked on, but it just, just didn't fall into place on night. And she's not a robot. It happens, but she'll learn from it. She's already learned from it. Do you know what I mean? So as I have as well, I've learned some things from it. So you move on. I mean, afterwards we've had conversation. Well, I've had conversations with people who are trying to tell me that what she did wrong and this out of her. And listen, she just didn't. She just weren't able to execute the plan. I don't think there was anything wrong with the plan, and that's not just because I devised it, but there were 4 of them, 4 ways to do it, but it just weren't there. But what I will say is, I'm only going to take positives out of it, as Nick is, and as Emma's going to do. Emma's going to take positive. She's beat a very talented fighter. So Emma now moves on to what Emma deserves, which is, big fights.
Yeah.
Whereas Nick was, and this, like I said, maybe some people are going to slate me for saying, "Oh, it's sour grapes." It's not sour grapes at all. It's a fact. Nick did not perform to her full capabilities. Simple as. But yet she still played her part in an absolute cracking fight.
And it was a brilliant fight.
Yeah. So I just take positives from that, mate. And my learning curve from that is I've now got to, I've got to make sure I get the best out of my fighter on fight night, because ultimately you can have the best camp, an absolutely amazing camp, which she's had a very good camp. She's produced things in sparring that were, brilliant, world class. But ultimately on that 20 minutes under lights, if you don't produce it, then that's when it matters. But it is what it is, mate. I just now think, end of the day, I've drawn a line under it. It's done. No excuses. Better girl on the night one. Simple as. But from a trainer's point of view, this like probably me, like I said earlier, me getting a little bit narky. Maybe people need to listen to me.
For just coming off the subject slightly for a second, for anyone just joining us, we will be moving on to Leigh Wood, Josh Warrington, talking about the matchroom card shortly. But as you can see from the caption, we're talking about GBM and the show that went off on Friday night. My perspective on the fight, Daz, was that Emma was just outstanding. She was ranger. She worked really, really well behind a jab, and Nick struggled to negate getting past that for the first phase of the attack. She struggled to get through that jab, and then I got the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that because Emma had landed that jab, Nick felt like she had to rush to get the shots off because she was thinking, "Oh crap, she's hit me. That's a point." That's
partially. I mean, listen, again, I'm going to reply to your comment, and like I say, I'm set up here, aren't I? I'm going to look like sour grapes to some people, but it's not. I think outstanding's an extremely generous word. She did box well. She did box well. I'm not going to dispute that.
Very effective once she does. That's the word I'd use.
Yeah, she was effective, but it was sort of, in a way, Nick allowed that, fell into a trap,
Right.
And I'm not in any way saying, listen, I've said all along, mate, Emma Dolan's a tough night for anybody. I've said that all along. But Nick didn't perform to how she can. It showed that when she executed what she was supposed to do. I mean, listen, let's be truthful. They want enough head movement on outside. When she made a fall shot, she didn't capitalise on it enough. But when she did, you know, it obviously. I mean, listen, Nick took some meaty shots, mate. Took some meaty shots, absolute thunderous shots, and just and listen, Nick's an honest girl, mate. And I said to her, "Did you feel him?" She went, "I was just more pissed off that I got hit with him." You know, because I knew I'd made mistakes, and it was just like. So then she's chasing it. Do you know what I mean? But listen, like I said, if I'm just going to sum it up, I think Emma boxed really well. Nick didn't perform, and my point of it is that was Emma's best performance as a professional boxer, coupled with I've been there for everyone as well. That was Nick's worst performance as a professional boxer. You know, and that listen, Emma can't help that. That's not Emma's. That's not Emma's fault.
I play devil's advocate with you. Was a performance a reflection on the fact that Emma's probably the best opponent she's been in with? And you can see why I'm asking that.
Yeah, but I think Nick's the best opponent Emma's been in with. No, I mean, listen, I don't like judging things on sparring, but I really don't. But you know, Nick's more than held her own with, you know, like you know, Lauren Parker, who's ranked number one. I've seen what Nick can do, and I'm like, you know, I just pick that up, Danny. I seem a bit salty. I'm not salty, mate, at all. I'm just trying to explain it without.
I'll be honest, Aaron. Props to you for even touching this subject tonight, because a lot of trainers would have dodged it. So.
No, but mate, there's no to dodge. There's no to dodge. That's what I mean.
But other trainers would have, Daz, wouldn't they? Let's have it right.
No, probably, but there's no to dodge. But in my opinion, the right girl won.
Yeah.
Simple as. But I know that my girl did not perform to her capabilities. You know, let's play. Listen, I'll play a bit of devil's advocate back, right? And I'm not throwing Andy under the bus here, but this is, you know, you don't have to give me any details or anything. But you saw what she produced in a spar.
I was actually going to say it myself, Daz.
Do you know what I mean?
Don't feel like you're putting me in a position.
No, it's not me being salty, is it? I'm being truthful. I'm the most truthful.
It's not.
I'm the most truthful.
I've seen Nick spar 10 rounds with the current in the rankings number one ranked girl at Superfly in Britain. So, and that's Lauren Parker. So, and I've seen them spars. So I think, I have to agree with what you're saying. I think Nick underperformed. But that being said, guys, I'm not taking absolutely nothing away from Emma's performance. Because
no, and neither am I. It's not Emma's fault. You know what I mean? No. How Nick performs is nothing to do with Emma. She just has to go and do what she was trained to do, and she did it. And listen, she did it. She executed the game plan, and fair play to her.
Yeah.
You know, it happened. It happened. She won. Like I said, the right girl won on the night. I'm not into this. Oh, the scores were too wide. Listen, whatever. Do you know what I mean? End of the day. No, mate, sort this Danny Bravo out, mate. Talking shit.
Danny, he's explained what his views are, Danny, to be fair. You know, like I said, props to him for even talking about it, bearing in mind he's Nicola's trainer. So come on.
You know, I'm not taking anything away from Emma. I'm actually, you know, when Nick walked back to the corner, and we both looked at each other and rolled his eyes. And me jokingly said, "Need a dodgy decision here, don't we?" Do you know what I mean? That's how honest we are with each other. Yeah. She knew that she'd not won.
She's the one on the end of it, Daz. Of course she knows, don't she? Knows the way the
of course
fight's
she
going,
did,
don't
mate. But listen, the learning curve that she's got from this, do you know what I mean? Is going to be absolutely like it's priceless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Absolutely priceless, and she will learn from it as well.
I think on that note, Daz, let's move on to the matchroom card. Okay, but like I said, thank you for addressing that, Daz, because not many would have. So props.
Nice, right, mate.
So Andy, let's start with the matchroom card on Saturday night in Sheffield again. So I'll let you take away. I believe you're going to talk about.
I think now we're this far into the show, mate. We'll go straight into Leigh Wood and
Let's do it.
And Josh Warrington. Well, where do I start? I mean, firstly, what a finish, mate! What an execution of the combination. We've said for many a year that Leigh Wood is a seriously dangerous finisher. He proved it in the Conlon fight. He proved it in the Zucan fight. And he proved it again here. Once he'd got Warrington rocked, he wasn't letting him off the hook. And he wasn't wildly throwing them shots. Every single one was purposely and landed perfect. I would like to say, though, what a performance for those first 6.5 rounds by Josh Warrington. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I got Warrington leading the fight 5-1.
Yeah, very similar.
And a lot of that, in my opinion, is down to weight because Leigh Wood was absolutely done at the weight, and he's not been shy. He's not been shy in saying that himself, has he? He said he struggled at the weight, and quite clearly, this was the worst. I think he's struggled because from the first bell, mate, I was thinking to myself, watching the fight, I was like, Leigh's got no legs. There was nothing. There was no bounce. There was nothing in his legs, and it's like I think I've heard him say in an interview that he was flat, and that's probably a good explanation. He wasn't able to get out of range. He was not using. Normally, he'd use his feet and he'd keep the distance and he'd move and make Warrington miss. And I think that was probably part of the game plan. I actually believe that standing in front of Warrington and trading was part of the game plan, even though that's probably suicidal and you're playing into Warrington's hands a little bit. But like I said last week, the way Leigh wins this fight is by timing Warrington. Josh is one of them fighters. He's been amazing, by the way, and he was great the other night. He's one of them fighters, though. He fights one way. He throws lots and lots and lots of punches, and he stands in the pocket too long. Now that beats most fighters, but when you've got somebody that's got that X factor with a bit of power, if that person lands the right punch at the right time, like Leigh did the other night, then Josh was going to be in trouble, and that ended up being what happened. I'll get your two's opinion, and then we'll talk about the finish and what you think about how it ended and whether it was right or not. So, what's your opinion, Cole?
So I'm still convinced Warrington wouldn't be able to keep that pace up over 12 rounds. I think he was slowing up at the point of when he got took out, is my honest opinion. Although I've got to admit, very good performance over the first half of the fight. In terms of Leigh Wood, he admits he's dead at the weight. He had nowhere near the mobility he normally has. But when you've got the X factor like Leigh has, you're always in the fight, right? And it was always. I went for round 8. I was off by a round. I always thought that Leigh would catch him. I did have concerns early on in the fight because Warrington was hitting him far too often. I've never known it, to be honest. I was concerned, but you've always got that with Leigh, whether it's round 7, round 12, or round 1. He's always got that equaliser, what he can pull out of the bag, and what a finish when you watch it in slow motion.
Mad.
The fight, and just for whether the fight should have been continued or not for me. He's still stumbling around after he got waved off, so not for me. I think it could almost be a scenario where Sean O'Hagan. I know he didn't want it stopping, but the ref might have saved his career that night, in my view, because I think he would have got badly hurt should have Warrington have been let if they let him come out for that round 8. So, yeah, very good performance by Leigh again. He'll step up now, obviously. Funny how they're all starting to call his name out now. They know he's stepping up, which makes me smile a little bit. But no, value for money, throwback fighter, and being from Nottingham, obviously, we're very proud of him.
So just before I come to you, Daz, and get your opinion, I'll just pick these comments up from Danny in the sidebar. He says, firstly, would you watch that again? I'll get you yes or no answers on that, do you two?
Yeah.
I actually think it's a better fight next time because they're both going to be, what was it, 4 or 5 pounds heavier, and they're going to be fresher because of that.
It'll be the next fight because Warrington ain't got nowhere to go, and Leigh Wood needs him to bring them fans to the City Ground, sell it out. So I think it's almost done deal.
Danny's also put, what a fight! Lee's always in barnstormers. Got to give it to him. He finds that punch. But he's also put he was getting a pasting for 6 rounds. Daz, break down the fight firstly for me, mate.
I think it was, first round was a decent round for both. Then, Josh obviously started swarming him, and yeah, Josh was up. Josh was winning, but Leigh pulled that shot out, didn't he? Again, to me, listen, that needs to be his last fight at featherweight. Yeah. If he fights again at featherweight, it's absolute career suicide.
No, he won't do it, mate.
No, he shouldn't do. It's absolute career suicide, mate. He probably shouldn't have had this one as this was probably almost one fight too far at feather. So yeah, to go up, judging, I mean, on the stoppage, I don't think again ref much choice.
Turned his back.
Yeah, he turned his back, and yeah, we could see Josh going like thinking mouth the words for fuck's sake. Or,
yeah, he did. Yeah.
So I think he was quite coherent head-wise, but obviously legs were a little bit rubbery. I think it was just a fair stoppage with everything. And then afterwards you see him laying top ropes, and one of his co-trainers or one of his team got in ring, and he turned to him, and he was still rubbery. Now, I can understand where corner's coming from, saying we've got a minute. So obviously he'd have ice pack on his neck, rub it all over his head, over his shoulders, douse it, rub it over his face, try and wake him up a bit. But I'm not sure that would have been enough time. So
with a punch like Wood.
Yeah, so I think erring on side, Josh ain't really a banger, is he? Let's be right. It's not as though Josh has got that one shot equalizer. So I just think, it's maybe correct, err on side of caution. And I think ref's got a split second to make that decision.
Yeah.
If he's wrong and Josh gets hurt, then what? All we're talking about now is probably 50-50 or 60-40 that people are saying, yeah, he should have been allowed to carry on. It's the right stoppage. So, for me, but listen, I'll be honest. If I was in Josh's corner, I'd probably be saying same things that Sean's saying.
Yep.
I'd probably be saying, listen, just, Bell's gone, why not just, because I've seen a lot of things in world title fights where someone's been knocked down and be honest, they've been in worse positions than what Josh has been in, looked on worse legs. Bell's gone, and they've just said, sit down. They've allowed, trainers have come in the ring as soon as Bell's gone and got the fighters and sat them down. Do you know what I mean? But I don't see that there's anything wrong with the stoppage, personally. I think it were, I probably would have stopped it.
So a couple of comments in the sidebar. Dominic Topless. Good evening, fella. He's put, Josh didn't turn around until the count of 9. Ref had no choice but to wave it off. Danny Bravo's put, people love controversy, don't they, lads? People are always going to complain.
Yep.
I've got two takes on it. I completely understand why the Warrington camp are kicking off about it. Because if it was the opposite way round and it was Leigh Wood that had lost his title and got waved off in that same circumstance, I think I'd be probably saying, well, come on, he's world champion. You should be giving him at least a minute. I mean, if you remember when Ben Davison chucked the towel in that first Lara fight, there were people slating Ben Davison. And he got 10 seconds left in the round when that towel came in. They were slating him. I mean, we didn't. We said it was the right stoppage, but certain, lots and lots of people slated him. So it's kind of about perception in a way. I've seen it from a number of angles. My initial reaction is exactly the same as you guys. He got hit with five clean shots, and Leigh punches hard, and he was out cold. He was out cold for at least a second on the floor, if not 2. What makes me think that he wasn't properly with it is because how quickly he popped up. When he woke up, he was up straight away. If he'd have had more about him and he was a bit more with it, he would have stayed down and took a knee for a couple more seconds to clear his head a bit more. He popped up and he didn't know where he was. And he stumbled to his corner. Yeah, by the time he got to his corner, his head was clear enough for him to turn around and say, oh, for fuck's sake. But he still didn't know where he was or what he was doing because he was facing the wrong way. He didn't turn around to the referee.
Yeah, he spent a good 3 seconds in his corner with his back to ref.
He did.
Had he turned around to ref earlier and said, and the ref had seen him go, for fuck's sake, got caught there, didn't I?
And the ref was saying, Josh, you can see him saying, can't you?
Yeah.
So, because if you're talking to him and he's not turning round, you're going to think he's out of it.
The other thing as well, lads, is because the bell goes when it does, Josh Warrington's team had all jumped up on the apron. Now, to the ref, because of how loud the pop was when Wood put him down, did the ref hear the bell? He might not have heard the bell, and if he didn't, and his reaction is he sees Warrington's team jump up on the canvas.
He should have heard the clacker, though.
Maybe.
Yeah, he should have heard that, and then.
But the point I'm making is, Daz, in the heat of the moment, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation for that referee to be in.
Well, of course,
and could his decision have been swayed by the fact that Warrington's team were on the canvas?
I just think it was because Josh didn't turn around, mate. I think he thought.
I think it was that as well.
I think he just thought he were out of it.
Just made a judgment call, Anthony. He's deemed him unfit to continue. Job done. Let's not make conspiracy theory of it.
But like I said, I have seen incidents where fighters have been on worse legs than Josh in world title fights, and Bell's gone, and corners come in, got him, sat him down. Refs, sometimes refs not even carried on can. But it's horses for courses, mate.
Matt Nash has come up with a really, really good comment. He says, do you think Josh Warrington got complacent thinking the bell had gone, so he assumed he'd be given a minute's break? That's a really interesting point, that. Has he gone back to his corner thinking he can go back to his corner and sit down because the bell's gone? Because he's been knocked down and he's not properly with it.
But you still turn around, don't you? If the ref's talking to you, you turn around, don't you? Let's have it right.
No, yeah. Mate, I'm not disagreeing with you. But I'm just saying, that's a possible. What Matt said there is a strong possibility. Right at that second, in that moment, Warrington's thought, "Well, the bell's gone. I can go and sit down. I'll have a minute's rest here."
I don't think you were coherent, mate. I think you were not.
What it does, guys. No matter what we think, and no matter who's right or wrong on the stoppage decision, what it does is it creates a brilliant setup for a second fight, and it's going to be Warrington. It's got to be Warrington.
It'd be like Froch and Groves in Manchester, wasn't it? When people were spouting about should it have been stopped, shouldn't it have been stopped. They had to go and do it again, didn't they?
Yeah.
I won't say how many people turned up at Wembley. I'll let Carl Froch say that, but a few turned up, didn't they? So, there's nothing stopping Forest being sold out. Don't need a belt.
So, Dominic, in the sidebars, put the rematch at the City Ground will be great if it happens. But is Josh okay to move up to Super Feather? Question mark.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that there would be no belt on the line, does that take the shine away? I don't think it does, Dominic. I think it's a massive fight, regardless. I mean, you saw the crowd, you saw the reaction. There was a bit of naughtiness in outside the arena afterwards. But when you're in an arena like that, if there's not a gigantic police presence, how are they meant to keep them fans apart? At a football stadium where they do it week in, week out, it'll be a completely different setup, and the police will understand it better. They'll know how to separate the fans better, and you won't get the same reaction outside. But for me, it's 99.9% nailed on that it's going to be Josh Warrington.
That fight did it a favour, didn't it?
Yeah, the result, the end result, and the way it went down. Yeah, I agree. And when Josh looks back, when he's retired and he's sat with his slippers and pipe, and he looks back, he'll probably say that himself. He's not going to say that right now because he feels like he's been hard done to. But when he looks back and then they get this massive fight at the City Ground, and they're both getting paid an absolute bomb, because they will be, and quite rightly so. Things like this in your career, they happen for a reason, don't they?
Well, I'm not sure who the dance partner would have been for Leigh Wood should he have steamrolled Josh Warrington on Saturday night.
Well, let's go down the scenario, Carl, that Josh Warrington, when he's had a week to think about it, he decides that's it, he's done, he don't want to fight no more. Who does Wood then fight at the City Ground?
I'd suggest Cordina, but it would cost an absolute shed load of money to get him to come out of Wales with the belt to fight at the City Ground. So I'd be interested to know what that split looks like if that's the case.
Daz?
Yeah, it'd have to be Cordina, mate, for me.
Who else?
Well, I was going to say Conlon. Do you think there's no legs in the Conlon fight? If Conlon comes through, obviously the fight's now been made with Conlon and
Jordan Gill.
If Conlon comes through that fight, by the way, Jordan Gill's no pushover. If Conlon comes through that fight, again, look how massive the atmosphere was in that first fight, Carl, at the arena.
Yeah, but Conlon would have to come up another weight because Leigh Wood ain't operating, is he, at feather again?
No, and that's Conlon's choice then, isn't it? It's his choice.
Would he go up to super feather?
He's a small featherweight. He come up from super bantam, didn't he? So he's a small featherweight as it is.
But he's got a following, because what Eddie Hearn's got to look at is filling that City Ground to make it commercially viable. So
this is why I'm saying Conlon, because he's got a big fan base, and so just like Josh Warrington, they're the only two, in my opinion.
All roads lead back to Warrington, don't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Cordina, you could kind of angle that to England versus Wales, I guess. I don't think that Cordina would want that fight away from his own. He's the champion. I can't imagine he would want to come to the City Ground and fight Leigh Wood on his own turf. I think Cordina's looking at unification fights.
And no good bringing a Lopez. Well, he won't be that weight, but a Lopez, you don't sell, does it? That ain't going to sell.
No foreign fighter sells, mate. No foreign fighter sells, and even though Leigh's got a cracking following, he doesn't do the stadium by himself, does it?
No.
He's got a great following, and he do really well there. So it needs another person that's gonna bring a massive crowd, and it's got to be one of those two.
It's a shame.
It's about time Derby got themselves in order, Danny Bravo. Maybe we could have East Midlands Derby, but miles behind.
It's a shame Tank's not hovering around Super Feather still, isn't it?
Yeah, but then again, who does he bring over?
I don't know though, Andy. He's got UK wide appeal, hasn't it?
Yeah,
if Frank Davis is fighting in Nottingham, I think that sells out.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I mean Leigh Wood v Tank at City Ground. Yeah, I'd pay to see that.
Oh, Danny's talking about Derby beating Notts County. Wow. Anyway, let's get back onto the boxing.
Funnily enough, though, when that fight's been made, hasn't it? Speaking of Derby, Scarf v Echo.
Great fight.
Yeah.
What a card that is, and all.
They was giving it someone in the press conference.
Yeah. What a card that is as well.
The Magnificent Seven card in Manchester.
I mean, Ryan Garner v Anthony Kakache. What a fight that is.
It's one of them, mate, isn't it? It's one for the purists, that card. A lot of general boxing fans probably won't pay attention to it because they won't really know what's going on. And that's no disrespect, but it is one of them where you kind of got to know the fighters that are there and what they're all about. And
where is it? Manchester Arena.
Yeah. Echo and Scarf though. What a fight that could be.
Yeah, they're going at it. It's quite good. It's quite a good watch in the presser.
Scarf's been hanging around waiting for this opportunity. To be fair, I know somebody that knows that's been close friends with him for quite some time, and he's been chomping at the bit to get this opportunity. We all know what Echo's about. Absolute engine, and that his nickname. Obviously, he never stops, does he? Never stops. He's on it for 12 rounds, consistent.
I do wonder what level he is, though. I'll be brutally honest. Again, I'm in that honest mood tonight. I wonder what level he is.
Well, the problem we've got, Carl, and we've said this on the show a number of times, is why is Frank Warren not bringing him to Nottingham and putting his show on in Nottingham so he can build his fan base? Yep. He needs to have a bigger fan base to then move on to that next level, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you don't put him on in Nottingham, if he keeps putting him on undercards in London, now this show in Manchester, what chance has he got of building his popularity in his own city?
Yeah,
that's my honest opinion.
Danny Bravo,
I like Echo a lot.
Danny Bravo is saying, "What do we think of the Tyson Fury undercard?"
You're not interested in talking about it, Danny? How about that one?
Well, I will. So, Danny, I had a quick look at it. I've not looked in depth. It looks half decent to me. I don't like the main event, but the undercard looks half decent.
That killed that one.
Dominic Topless says, very strange. Warren has never promoted Echo in Notts. Echo is a lovely lad as well. Fans would get behind him. I agree, Dom, but it's all about profile, isn't it? He could there's Nottingham Arena, isn't there? Why doesn't he bring a strong card to Nottingham Arena? He goes to Telford.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why he just avoids that.
If you were with Earn, he'd have been on Leigh's undercards, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So Danny Bravo says, everyone will watch it. Be honest, fellas. I'll watch it. I'll watch Tyson Fury and Garner. I'll be honest. I'll watch it.
I'll be honest with you, Danny. I won't be.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I'm not interested, mate. I'm not interested. Tyson Fury's gonna play about with him until he gets bored of playing about with him, and then he's gonna stop him. He could do it in the first round, in the first few seconds, if he wanted to. That's it. That's all I've got to say on the subject. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's not interesting. It's not proper boxing. I'm not interested in it. This is a boxing show, not a crossover show.
Yeah, but the undercard's worth talking about because that's genuine fights.
I've not even looked at it, Carl. I don't even know who's on the undercard.
I've only glanced here, but the point being, the undercard is well worth commenting on. Like I say, you got Wardley on there, haven't you? Etc. Etc.
I can't comment on it because I've not seen it. I've not paid any attention to it.
It's the whole event, can you? Maybe the main event you don't like, but the undercard, from what a quick glance, is half decent. To be fair to.
So Adelaide v. Wardley, right? Okay, let's talk about that then. Adelaide v. Wardley is no longer for the British title because the British Boxing Board of Control won't allow him to fight for it over there.
But it's still a decent scrap.
Well, what's the point in the fight?
It's still a decent scrap.
Pointless, mate. Make the fight in the UK. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, Carl.
You can only deal with what you're dealing with, can't you? You've gone for the money. The prize fighters, you can't blame them going for the money. So, but yeah, I will be watching it, as many more will.
I'm sure. Millions will watch it. I'm just one that won't be. It's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll watch it next day. Maybe.
It'll be on a YouTube short, mate, because that's how long it'll last.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad one either. Bakona versus Takam, for how long it lasts.
Is Joseph Parker and Keane's on as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not a bad scrap, is it?
Yeah, I mean, undercards are our fault. Yeah, it's all right.
It's not a bad undercard, to be fair.
But it's just the main event, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like the main event, I'll be honest with you. And it makes even more of a mockery of it now that he's agreed to fight Usyk. I agree with what you said, Andy. He will dance around him and finish it whenever he's ready, but the undercard looks half decent. So Danny's taking us through him there, look. Yeah, Moses. So, anything else to add about Leigh Wood and obviously we're due to have him on the show in the next couple of weeks for an exclusive interview. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But on to the 6th round.
Mate, all I'll add, and this is dead cheesy, and I don't care. It's an absolute pleasure to have someone like Leigh Wood as a world champion coming from this city. Let's just talk about one thing that we haven't brought up, and that is the fact that Leigh Wood's had 3 world title fights against world level opposition in 8 months. That's unheard of. Certainly in this, in the last 10 to 20 years, that's unheard of. Can anyone in the sidebar, Daz, you know your boxing, can you name another world champion fighting against world level opposition that's had 3 fights against world level opposition, not just pushovers, world level opposition in 1 calendar year?
Tyson Fury.
Same opponent. Did Froch do that?
I doubt it.
Maybe 2, but not 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jermaine. Who did he follow? Jermaine Taylor. Was
it all 3 Abraham after that?
I feel like I need to look. Because I'm sure Froch. I'm not saying that he did 3, but
Matt Nash is saying Canelo. Has Canelo had 3 fights in 1 year?
I don't think Canelo's even fought 3 times in 1 year, has there? Got to be winning performances as well, aren't there? Really?
I mean, Canelo might have done in his earlier days, maybe, but I'm talking about at the very, very top end of the sport when they're absolutely fighting the elite of the division. Canelo's probably gone close.
Yeah,
Cole Froch fought Jermaine Taylor on the 25th of April 2009.
Yeah.
Then he jumped in with Andre Durrell on the 17th of October 2009.
Yeah.
And then jumped in with Kessler on the 24th of April.
Yeah, so,
right, so that's not the same calendar year though, is it? So that was what I asked.
No, he's not. He don't look like it.
You'll be all stretched to find someone, mate.
That's kind of the point I'm making. It's a throwback to a generation gone by when fighters fought because they love fighting, and that's what I know. Leigh Wood gets paid a decent amount of money nowadays, but he hasn't done for many, many, many years. He deserves to get what he's getting now. He fights because he loves fighting, and he's fighting at the very, very top end. He didn't need to take this Warrington fight as quickly as he's took it. He didn't need to take the second Lara fight. He could have stepped aside on that second Lara fight and let Warrington and Lara beat lumps out of each other and then take the winner.
Someone I wish would pipe down is Nick Ball. Nick Ball's, after the Lord Mayor show or what, he keeps talking about how he's the best featherweight in the country. He's proved nothing. He's proved nothing, has he? I actually like the way he fights, but he's absolutely proved nothing. So just had to get that out, to be honest.
Well, he's going to get his opportunity at some point now, isn't he? Because Leigh Wood's title is going to become vacant. Is he? I can't remember the name of the Russian fighter that's mandatory. He's going to get
Kolmatov in it. So is it Kolmatov?
Yeah, that's it. He's going to get the shot, but it'll be who he fights. I'm guessing.
I'll tell you what, though, lads. What you said there, a great question regarding Leigh Wood. So I'm just having a look. I mean, it's totally off subject, but I thought, I wonder if Mayweather did it. You know what I mean? But he didn't. There were a bit more than a year's gap in between. Going from fighting. Delaware, then he had that and Marquez. He had Marquez, Mosley, but then followed it with Ortiz. But do you know when you look at Mayweather's resume, mate?
It's
different
like,
wow,
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's like, totally off subject, but you look at it and you think, all right,
crazy,
yeah, and the ease in which he beat most of them as well, it just nuts. Absolutely nuts. And then he goes and tarnishes himself by finishing fighting McGregor. But never mind.
Yeah, Matt Nash makes a great point. Maybe the WBA will let Wood keep the belt for a few years without defending it like they did Santa Cruz.
Absolutely no chance, mate. I'm surprised they're not knocking on his door asking for it back today. That's how much of a joke the WBA are.
I'll let you pick Danny Bravo's last comment up. I think he's on a wind up.
Come on, lads. I know it's a Midlands bias, but Leigh has hardly fought the best opposition in the world. Come on, lads. Are you having a laugh, mate? Are you having a laugh?
He's on the wind up,
Danny, behave yourself.
It must be all that League One football he's having to watch, looking in the air all the time. His brain's frazzled.
So, just on that what Danny said then, apart from being in unifications, which, obviously that happened, but who were better? What better opposition could he have fought?
He's going to say Navarrete and people like that, isn't
it? Yeah, but that's unifications. Let's take other champions out. So Lara.
Let's break it down, Daz. Let's break it down. So he wins a British title after being out in the wilderness. He wins a British title. He gets an opportunity to fight
the monster. The
monster that nobody wanted to go near, Carl.
2,000 punches around. 2,000 punches.
Who's that?
No, not 2,000 punches around. It's like 2,000 punches a fight.
2,000 around. No one dare go near him.
So Kanzu, let's break it down. Kanzu, right, was a fighter that nobody wanted to go near. No one was taking him on. None of the world champions gave him a fight. They didn't want to go near him because of his punch output. So Leigh Wood takes that fight on and demolishes him. And let's be right, he demolished him. He then gets a mandatory against Conlon, who...
the best boxer that's ever lived. The best boxer that's ever lived.
Who coming out the Olympics, mate? He's a classy fighter.
He is.
He's a classy boxer. And he'll go on to. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Right? I know he's lost his second world title shot, but he will win. He will be world champion. He's too good not to be.
Who's that?
Conlon. He's too good not to be. So Leigh Wood's in an absolute barnstormer against him, and then he gets the chance to have a voluntary. So who does he pick? The biggest puncher in the division.
The killer, Laura.
Behave yourself, Danny. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't think Conlon will be a world champion.
Yeah, I do, Daz.
I actually do, Daz. I do as well.
I don't think. Listen, don't sleep on Jordan Gill, mate.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah,
Jordan Gill's quality.
Last chance saloon for Jordan Gill, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Big lad as well. Big lad for weight, Jordan.
Jordan's dangerous.
Yeah.
Danny.
Oh, what do you think to that then?
Yeah, Danny, that's a good one.
What do you think to that? That's a where do you rate him? Froch, who's the best? Froch.
Okay, I'll say this. I'll say this right. I'll say this.
Froch.
Danny, go and watch Froch's interview in the changing room with Leigh Wood.
Yeah. The new sheriff of Nottingham.
So Froch admits that Leigh Wood is a much better boxer than Carl Froch ever was.
Who had the better career?
Oh well, up to now, Carl Froch, mate. He had 12 world title fights in a row.
Listen, none of them two's the best boxer to come from Nottingham.
No.
Neither Froch
Agreed.
or Wood. No, there's only Errol Bomber Graham.
Errol Bomber Graham. Oh man. Wow.
No, on achievements, mate. Obviously, you put in Froch and
on achievements, Froch is the best fighter to come out of the.
Putting Froch and Wood above him, yeah. Listen, you can't on talent, mate. Kirkland Lang as well.
Yeah. Outstanding again.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, his brother wasn't a bad fighter, was he? He got European.
Tony, I think his brother.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, Kirkland.
When you've got a legend on your record, mate.
Yeah.
I know it might have been a bit late in the day, but even so.
But right, if I believe rightly, I'm just going to check it, even though I should know it because I'm a proper Roberto Duran fanboy. But I'm just making sure.
Sure, that been a show gone by where you had talked about Duran.
I love Duran, mate. Love
it. To answer the question, Carl Froch has had a more stellar career because he was world champion for longer. And he had 12 world title fights in a row. I mean, that in itself is outstanding.
Kirkland is a bit, and I knew this were right. I'm just checking it. Roberto Duran lost the split decision to Kirkland Lang in 1982. He then beat Jimmy Batten. He then beat Pepino Cuevas. He then stopped Davey Morph at light middleweight title.
He was outstanding.
So that made, and then he lost the decision to Agler.
Yeah.
Lost BKO to Earns. Then obviously.
So Roberto Duran wasn't as past it as a lot of people have
that's
said.
What I mean. No, because he'd beat. I mean, just before that, he'd lost the decision to Wilfred Benitez.
Have you got anything on Derby fighters, Daz? There must be something somewhere. You know, probably one line somewhere.
Big Clifton. Big Clifton's best you've had. Dennis Berry. Dennis Berry was a good fighter from Derby. He used to train at the same gym.
That would do. No more.
He used to train at the same gym as me. But no, Kirkland Lang beat Roberto Duran. And then Duran beat Batten, Cuevas, and then stopped Davey Morph at like middleweight world title.
Davey Moore was a good fighter as well.
Yeah, mate, they thought Duran were going to get absolutely trounced.
Daz, I'd go as far as to say that Errol Bomber Graham is the best British fighter never to win a world title.
Yeah, that's generally recognised, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's generally recognised.
And probably because of that, doesn't get the credit he deserves for how good he was.
Yeah. I mean, it sparks a thing, doesn't it? When you go on to like, who's the best British boxer never to win but you know, who's the best boxer worldwide to never win a world title? He's got to be high up in that conversation as well.
Yeah.
Daddy, I just want to say, Daddy, you won't be saying that to his face.
What's that? Sorry? What have I missed?
Nilo Connor. Good to hear.
Just his comment about Clifton, mate.
Well, what's he said? Old.
He won't be saying that to Clifton. Trust me.
He's too.
I was a little bit surprised about Danny's comment at the very start of the show about Zach Parker. He's not a Zach Parker fan by the signs of it, and I'm a bit surprised at that. I know he had that bad night against John Ryder, and he got that injury. So I think Zach Ryder, you're gonna Zach Ryder. I think Zach Parker's. You've not seen the best of him yet.
Niles just put Luke Campbell, and I presume that's for British boxing never to win a world title. That's a good shot.
He had
chuck Kevin Mitchell in as well.
Stellar career, didn't he? Luke stellar amateur career, Luke Campbell.
Mm.
I just don't think he turned over that well, Daz.
You said Clifton was our best fighter. Well, he weren't bad. Clifton fought for European titles.
Gives up like Dubois. Wow.
Really? Oh, you're talking about Parker now?
Yeah.
Up. He had a broken hand, I think. I mean,
his hand was a mess, wasn't it?
It was a mess. We'll see, mate, because I think he's too big for super middleweight. I think he's going to step up to light heavy, and there's some good opportunities in there for some really big fights in the UK.
You don't win a world title, though, do
they? Well, definitely not if he moves up to light heavyweight, no. But there's some brilliant scraps there, domestic fights, absolutely. I like Zach Parker. I like the way he fights, and I think he's got some pop. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Right, are we about done then, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Danny's he's getting twitchy because he said he was having a laugh about Clifton. I don't think he watches the show, mate. You're safe.
Hey, he's sound fella. Are you his? Hey, are you his missus, Daz? I don't get that.
He's having a pop at you tonight, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't understand. Of course,
Banter is what it's all about on this channel, fella.
It is, yeah, it is. It is, to be fair.
Although don't come down the A52 to the Nottingham because you know what. Until you got a world champion in Derby, don't even, darken my door.
They have got a world champion in Derby.
Yeah, they have, to be fair.
Sandy Ryan.
And she should be unified world champion, by the way.
Yeah.
Disgraceful, that decision.
So should Terry Harper, to be fair.
Oh, well, that was one thing I wanted to talk about. Let's just quickly talk about that, Carl, before we bring the show to an end.
Yeah.
Because
cheers, Danny.
And I'm not I don't think I'm over exaggerating here. But she was stolen of legacy the other night. That she's fighting somebody with an absolute stellar career. Yeah, she might be in her 40s, Brackhurst, but it's somebody with a stellar career. And that would have gone down on Terry's resume as a legacy moment, and it got took away from her.
What do you think, Carl? Because I know you're not Terry's biggest fan.
No, I thought she won the fight clearly, don't get me wrong. But I'm still a little bit disappointed she hasn't got enough pop to get her out there. That's what I'm saying. I think she won the fight clearly. Should have won it.
Again, afterwards, obviously I'm no part of Terry Harper's camp whatsoever. No. But I have been saying for a bit, she doesn't belong at light middleweight. She should be at welter. And the conversation after, which Terry was saying, was the same. You
Yeah.
know,
So don't get me wrong. I thought she won it, Daz. I'm not
Oh,
a big
definitely.
fan. I've said that. But
definitely.
I'm a bit disappointed she wasn't able to get her
Yeah.
out of there, Daz. That's the only point I'd
I think it
make.
should be a different, you know, a punch power's a different proposition as a light welter than maybe even a welter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Do you know what I mean?
Bracker's best days are by far behind her. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How big did she look though? Brackers, how big were her back?
Massive.
She looked
Yeah.
humongous.
Yeah, she did.
But sometimes you got to take it out of the judge's hand, right, Daz?
Yeah, listen, sometimes you can't leave it to judges. Obviously, I know that because Nicola got robbed on Friday. She only, you know. I thought I'd get a smile. No.
You know what I mean, though, don't you? You know?
Yeah, I'm only taking me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, you know, are we ever gonna get to a point where fighters stop being boxers? Because you can box on a back foot and you can be winning round after round after round after round, and then judges can make the most shocking decisions and take it all away from you. I'm not saying that Terry Harper boxed like that and won every single round, because she didn't. But
she wanted.
the point I'm making is
that
trainers going to start saying to fighters, "You're going to have to sit down. And you're going to have to lay this person out to get a win."
No, because you don't necessarily know, do they? You don't know. You don't know it's going to go that way during the fight.
No, but what I'm saying, Carl, is judging's getting that bad and that frequently bad that trainers and fighters are going to start thinking that way instead of the sweet science. So they're just going to start banging because
you can only box to your game plan and your strengths, can't you? But yeah, I get what you're saying, Andy. It is a bit alarming, to be fair. How often?
But then it comes down to whoever's got the biggest punch is going to win, almost, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. It takes it away from what boxing is. The whole point of what makes boxing so brilliant is the fact that there's so many different styles.
Yeah, rather than taking that stance, I think the British Boxing Board of Control should address the judges and make them accountable for when these shocking scorecards come out.
Well, it's not going to happen, Carl, though, is it?
Someone said to me the other day. I don't, because he's not really a boxing man, but we're chatting about it, and he right on back of Terry Harper actually, and he said, "You know what I don't get, Daz, is why when you like," he says, "it's more on America when you get these CompuBox stats and punches landed in a round, and they tell you who's landed most punches in a round. Why don't they just award round to whoever's landed most punches then?"
Because it's not amateur boxing.
Exactly. That was my first answer. But then it made me think a bit. And I thought, well, surely, listen, I'm a purist. I love the fact that we've got judges. But at the same time, it's like, had we been doing it, I mean, I can't actually remember the CompuBox stats, but had there been that being the criteria for it, Sandy Ryan would have been unified, surely.
I think CompuBox is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not just so much talking about CompuBox, but we all know that there's going to be technology that can produce that information. So if that were the case, Sandy Ryan would be unified.
Yes,
so if someone boxes my head off all around, but then I chin them and they take an 8 count, I would lose a round then on that theory.
I think.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
That can't be right, can it?
Yeah. I mean, I think some commissions, if you win 2 minutes, 55 seconds of a round, and then you score a knockdown, and then you have a knockdown against you, the round goes 10-8 to your opponent. Whereas some commissions have it 10-9, don't they? You know, if you've won 2 minutes, 55 seconds at round, and then you get a flash knockdown.
Yeah.
So instead of it being 10-8 to your opponent, it's then 10-9. Yeah, there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of.
It all feels very messy, though, doesn't it?
It does, mate. Yeah, there's a lot of things where you can see flaws in it.
Yeah.
But it's just getting ridiculous now. It's just getting daft. Even Eddie Hearn afterwards says, "Well, what are they watching?"
Yeah, he went mad, didn't he?
Yeah, he did go mad.
And it's right. What are they watching? Do you know what I mean? And it's going to be a case where I think people are probably going to start calling for things like that.
I mean, I don't know about you lads. I scored that Terry Harper fight 7-3. That's how wide I had it.
I had her winning it by 4.
Yeah, Matt Nasser isn't CompuBot still operated humans tapping a button, thinking a punch is registered.
I don't know, Matt. I couldn't tell you. Probably, but
I think you might be right, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be right. I don't know. But like I said, I'm sure there is some technology that that is capable of registering a punch properly.
It's got to be anti. It's got to be someone tapping every time there's a punch landed. But then again, the problem with that is that's open to interpretation as well.
It depends what angle you're at.
It depends what angle you're at, and it depends on what you score as a punch.
I mean, VAR's done such a great job in football. I can't understand why they haven't brought it into boxing.
Yeah. Oh, it's can you imagine? Can you imagine that?
Let's just pause the fight.
Yeah, just stop a minute. Stop fighting. But no, it's just the fact that it's so incompetent that we're now looking for ways to stamp it out. That's 2 British fighters that should have been unified world champions.
Shocking, isn't it?
I mean, listen, we can also go back to the Josh Taylor Catterall.
What should happen, in my opinion, Daz, in those situations, like the Sandy Ryan and the Terry Harper fights, what should happen is a rematch should be demanded automatically, and the fighters should be made to, like, Sandy wants that rematch. Jessica McCastle's going to go absolutely nowhere near her because she knows what's coming.
Mate, do you know? Listen, I know we can have human error. I know people make mistakes, and this is not so much with Sandy Ryan because Sandy's a world champion. But let's say more Catterall. Catterall should have been undisputed, like welterweight champion at world, right? What if Jorge Linares turns up in a couple of weeks and produces one last blistering performance, right? Catterall loses. So then Catterall's got to rebuild. Now, what if Catterall, which I think he will win, what if Catterall beats Linares, gets another shot at a world title, loses, rebuilds, gets another shot at a world title, loses, and don't become a world champion in his career? A travesty, because he should have been undisputed like welterweight champion at world.
Yeah.
And
that's a perfect example of a fight that should have been demanded. Josh Taylor should not have been allowed to, and I've been a Josh Taylor fan, as you know, I've said it numerous times. He should not have been allowed to turn around and say things like, I can't make the weight anymore, I'm not fighting at this weight anymore. That goes on for a year and then he fights at the weight. Yeah,
exactly.
It should not have been allowed. The fight should have been made. They should have been. It should have been forced. They should have made it.
And if he didn't comply with it, strip him, and Jack Catterall fights next available contender.
Yeah, that's exactly what should be happening for Sandy Ryan.
Yeah,
the even should be told she's got to have the rematch because of the controversy.
Now, what if now Sandy Ryan, if she'd have got that decision, which she should have got, that sets up an absolute mega fight for undisputed with Tasha Jonas, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So now, because two blind mice, isn't there, have judged it.
Yeah.
It's a farcical draw, right? Now, what happens if they have a rematch and McCaskill pulls out performance of a lifetime and wins? It costs Sandy, doesn't it? She's lost that.
It does, but that won't happen, mate.
I don't think it will. But listen, there's always a chance. Things like that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But I don't think it will. But it's always leaving. It's always putting that bit of chance there that didn't need to be there. Sandy wins. Sandy rightly got decision. If she should have rightly got decision, which she should, we're not talking about this. We're talking about a mega fight. We're in Tasha for everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But instead, we're talking about people. Listen, do you know what, mate? And people laugh at me when I say it, but only thing I can think of sometimes is they've got the phones at ringside and the brow texting the missus and missing things. How else can you not see?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. This is why straight after on that show, straight after, I didn't call it incompetence.
Yeah, Matt's.
It was that bad, mate. It was that bad. Well, rightly or wrongly, I called it for what I saw it. Someone's been paid off.
Matt said, "Would 5 judges as opposed to 3 make any difference?"
Not for me. Not for me.
Because they got 5 incompetent people instead of 3, Matt.
You see, somebody's mentioned to me before about 3 scoring judges and have the ref scoring as well. But
I think the ref's got enough on his plate without.
At the ice level, I don't think that's right.
No, you see, I don't agree with ref scoring it at all.
No.
Anyway,
no.
Even no matter what level, I think we should have judges at every level.
Yeah, I do as
well.
well.
What I mean?
I do as well. The fact of the matter is, governing bodies have got to take responsibility, and they've got to put these referees and these judges under scrutiny. And if they don't meet the criteria, then they lose the job. And you get somebody in and train somebody that can do the job. What about having ex-fighters that understand the game as judges?
Yeah,
neutral ex-fighters.
That could be a way, but I don't necessarily think if you're an ex-fighter. I mean, because I know some ex-fighters who are referees and they're not great. But, yeah, I mean, listen, they need to improve, don't they? They need to improve it because what they're doing at the minute.
I mean, it's an obvious thing, isn't it, Daz? Train them, but give them more experience. Make them understand what a winning round looks like.
I know, but some of them have been around years. Howard Foster and that some of his judgings, absolutely, they all are. They've been around years, and it's still.
You know why, Carl? Don't you? You know why? Because they're comfortable.
A professional boxer under board has to have boxed now. Has to have had a year's experience under England boxing to be considered to be a professional. If you've boxed white collar for 5 years, unlicensed for 5 years, and that's it, you won't get looked at. You have to box under England boxing for a year. You have to have a year's worth of experience. I believe they've set it to 6 or 7 bouts. So why not? Why haven't we got sort of same criteria judging wise?
Yeah.
So
why don't
what they ought to be doing is using these really bad scorecards as examples and sitting all these judges down in a room in front of a massive screen and going through round by round, and not necessarily digging out the judge that made the decision, but saying, look, this is why this person won this round.
Well, they already do that, don't they? But behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors is no good, is it? Because it's just an old boys club call.
Well, that's that's what they were going to do to Ian John Lewis, weren't it? But he
resigned.
He resigned and went in Bieber, didn't he? They were going to ask him to explain his Taylor Cattrall card.
No, they demoted him, didn't they?
Yeah, they demoted him. He went from A star to A class. So,
but let's have it right. Let's call it how it is. Does his card was shocking?
Yeah. So was Victor Laughlin's.
Yeah, not the only one.
Yeah. So, listen, I know we've had that
documentary.
Yeah, we've had that documentary on. Ian John Lewis is calling it racism, and he's saying that Victor Laughlin wasn't held to account for it, and we don't know that, do we? But
they weren't demoted.
No, but I mean, what did Victor Laughlin score it?
He scored it closer than.
Didn't he score it a draw?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he scored it a draw, and Ian John Lewis had it 2 or 3 rounds to Taylor, didn't he?
More than that, I think.
Were it? I think it were about 2 or 3, mate. If I'm not 100%, but I think it were about 2 or 3. And then what did other guy have?
He got it wide to Cattrall.
Wide to Cattrall, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, mate. It is. It's a funny one, but you know, I mean, I don't see, and this is not picking on Ian John Lewis. I don't see how he could have scored that fight to Taylor. I really don't.
No, they were right to pull him in, mate. And in my opinion, they were right to demote him, but maybe not permanently, but until they see an improvement in his scoring, put him on certain fight and see what he scores on and have somebody monitor it. That's what should happen with all judging, not just certain judges. All judges should get the same treatment around the world. The problem is no one holds them responsible, does.
Yeah, maybe have a bit of a yearly review.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like pick a fight that a judge has maybe scored throughout the year that you probably hierarchy look at and think that could be a bit debatable, but
if there's a consistent bad judge, a judge that's scoring fights consistently bad, whenever they go out, their scorecards are completely different to the other two judges' scorecards.
Well, what about what's her name? The woman, America, who scored Canelo Mayweather a draw.
Oh, crazy.
What were her name?
Can't remember, mate.
Oh God,
can't remember. Yeah, but I know you mean.
You know what I mean? And she did it like
you said times. When I was kicking off after the Ryan fight. You said it's been happening for years and years, and it's always happened. It has always happened, but that don't make it right.
No, it doesn't. No, not at all. Not at all, mate. Listen, I remember way back to when I was young, Fidel Castro Smith boxing Henry Wharton for British super middleweight title in York. And Henry was a traveller, very nice fella as well. And the place was full of travellers. And Fidel boxed his ears off. Absolutely boxed his ears off. Didn't get a decision.
Right.
Henry got decision, then went on to have mega fights with Eubank and Ben. Do you know what I mean? So listen, you could even say Ben Eubank too. Should have gone to Ben.
Agreed.
I mean, Lewis Holyfield won. I mean, how they come to that were, come on.
I had an argument with somebody on X the other day. I said that was a demolition job by Lewis. He said the comment was, how can a fight be deemed as what was the term I used? Anyway, but one-sided, right? This person said, how could a fight be seen as one-sided if they don't get a knockout? And I says it can be a demolition job on points, and that's exactly what that first fight was.
Yeah, Lennox absolutely dominated him. I mean, I think I struggled to give Holyfield 2 rounds.
No, I know.
If I remember. And I'm a massive fan of Listen, I'm a bigger fan of Lewis. But yeah, I mean, some decisions are, I mean, you can go back to Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, absolute shocker.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Listen, I'll tell you what, I remember watching it and I thought Castillo won it v Mayweather, number 1. I scored Castillo Mayweather to Castillo by 2 rounds.
I can't remember how I scored that fight. It was close. It was a very close fight.
Yeah, so it's not. I wouldn't call it a robbery, but
no.
It were a bit, probably a bad example, that, to be fair. But
I
tell you what, mate, and this springs to mind as well. Not just because of the decision, but because of the absolute awesome display of sportsmanship after Richie Woodall and Glenn Catley.
I never saw that fight, mate.
Oh, mate, Richie Woodall and Glenn Catley for WBC super middleweight title. Glenn Catley, mate, won it easy.
Right.
But Richie Woodall got decision. Richie Woodall didn't celebrate, actually walked over to Glenn Catley and said sorry.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah. He actually walked over and said sorry.
Wow.
There's been a few, mate. There's been, some decisions you just don't know how they come. And McCaskill Ryan's one, you just don't know how they come to that realization. Do you know what I mean? You're like,
awful.
Yeah, you just look and think, how have you? I mean, Canelo Mayweather. I know the right man won, but a draw, really? It was like, wow, what are you watching? Matt's just said, refreshing a Woodall that night, said in the interview that he thought he'd lost the fight. Yeah, he did. Yeah, truth. But
you won't see a fighter doing that in this generation, mate.
No, because they come with. Listen, Josh Taylor did it, didn't he? I mean, Josh Taylor knows that he didn't win that fight with Cattrall.
Yeah,
he knows he didn't win that fight.
It's all about saving face for boxers. They're so scared to lose face.
Yeah,
nowadays. I don't really understand it. I kind of do. It's a macho sport, isn't it? And they want to be seen to be tough and strong, and maybe that's where it comes from. But it is refreshing, Matt. You're absolutely right. It should happen more often, but it just doesn't.
Yeah, it is. It's one of them things, but it needs stamping out. So
I just hope somebody takes it by the horns, mate, and says, look, this enough's enough. We've got to do something here. There's enough money flying around the sport at the very top end, mate, to do something and put some money into it. Because, well, I mean, I think some judges are getting loads of money out of it anyway. But there you go. But that's just my opinion. It's not the opinion of Last Bell Boxing. So if you want to sue someone, sue me, but you're not going to get a lot because I'm skint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Daz, I think that might be a good position to bring the show to a close.
Yes, mate.
It's been another great topic. Once again, congratulations to our very own Nottingham's very own Leigh Wood with a stunning knockout performance. Can't wait to chat to you in a few weeks, champ. And we'll see you shortly. Everyone in the sidebar.
What you having him on? Is it a private interview?
We are, mate. It's still to be arranged properly, but yeah, I don't know whether we'll do it as a stream or whether we'll go down and see him, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen at some point. But yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us in the sidebar. There've been lots of comments tonight. They're all welcome. Banter's welcome, obviously, as well. That's what this show's all about. Opinions. Daz, thanks for coming on again, mate. Much appreciated. Pleasure. I say that you're a regular now, anyway. Carl, even though he's disappeared off screen, he's in the background there. Thanks to Carl for being on again. This has been Last Bell Boxing. Our show is every Thursday at 7:00. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.